Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Blue Gamer Bluecast Morning Show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, 30-plus year video game enthusiast and industry analyst. And today, for November 10th, 2025, I'll run through the latest gaming news, what I've been playing, all that. Sup, JamKillX, good to see you. Hope everyone had a good weekend. I am ready to get this week started. I had some fun playing some video games. I watched a cool movie. We'll talk about that. But first of all, it is the limited run games Dominus Collection Collector's Edition watch. And check their Twitter. We still have people just saying, I'm waiting for it to ship. Awesome. There are many orders, and that's their Shinobi game. There are many orders, and while we don't operate on the weekend, our shipping team is hard at work. Man, I tell you, like, every limited run game I'm interested in that has a special edition just keeps getting delayed. And I pre-ordered and got my 3 Super Deluxe Castlevania Collector's Editions in the time frame that I've been waiting for limited. I mean, I'm just not gonna order from limited run games anymore. That's just, and I guess it's one of those weird things where it's like, well, I guess there's a lot to it's. I think it's the cost. To be honest, I felt like I spent a lot on this Castlevania Collector's Edition. I don't really think it's worth that, especially considering how much I paid for the Super Deluxe Collector's Editions. And the stuff, the extra stuff the limited run games thing has wouldn't actually equate to the total. So for me, I thought I was buying an exclusive limited edition, but knowing that Super Deluxe has the limited editions and they're only the price of the actual games, I don't know. And I was a little bit sour with their anniversary event, even though I shouldn't be, just because it's just, hey, not my thing. Huge lines. But it's like, I feel like there's this, it reminds me of Starbucks, right? When like people are so obsessed with Starbucks, you'll be willing to wait in line forever to pay this corporation a bunch of money. But Starbucks is pretty good with their service. It's just that's, and I think it might be a personal thing where sometimes man, what's another good example? Like, let's say, oh, this is a really bad example, but I'm trying to put my mind in this thing. Let's say I want to buy this electronic thing really bad I don't need, and I go drive to Best Buy as fast as I can to get it. I'm like, oh yeah, I got to put my mind down. I want to get it. And then I walk out and drop it and break it. And I'm like, I think that's the universe telling me I'm getting too into consumerism and this is happening. And I feel like that's with this limited run games. It's like, as cool as it is to get these special edition physical things, I don't want to let that consumer part consume me that I have to have everything, So, because by this time I could easily just ask for a refund and get what the $250 back. That was that special edition. Yes, I got 3 Castlevania special editions for less than the price of the limited run games Dominus Collection. Anyway, I'm going to stop ranting because I don't even really know exactly what I'm angry about. It's that consumerism thing. Okay, here's another example. There was a time when, this was years ago, but I was, my income was at a point where I was like, oh, I can invest in like maybe not invest, but buy action figures more. And part of that was the Marvel Legends. I'd never collected Marvel Legends, and I was like, oh, I'll start with that. To be honest, I don't like Marvel Legends, but I want to say after buying a whole bunch of them, I started feeling this like depressive dread of like, what am I attaching myself to here? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me personally, collecting a bunch of Marvel Legends, I don't know what you guys think about that, like consumerism thing where it's in your mind where it's like, I'm putting too much into this. I don't know. It's like a little voice telling you something. Okay, before I get into what I've been playing, I want to do a quick review of Predator Badlands. So here's a quick review of Predator Badlands. I saw it Saturday with 2 of my kids, my brother and a good friend of mine, Andrew. To be honest, the movie is incredibly badass. I was not expecting it to be not only as good as it was, but the tone. The Dan Trachtenberg, the director, it's such an art for him to nail this specific tone, because what we're watching essentially is a Disney Predator movie. And it almost seems like that's impossible. And you could almost look at, a recent output from Disney to know that they're not the best at taking some of these IPs and doing things with them. But Predator Badlands, I mean, it had the visceral gore, the action, badass action, multiple Yautja or predators. It even went deep in the lore, but it held true to its roots of being a predator, like of the original predator of hunting, because that's kind of what the main mission underneath the main character deck here is. He's going on this hunt, as a predator, but along the way he meets a Wayland Yutani synthetic, an android, which is so awesome because that just merges the alien and predator worlds, which I've always loved to do. I love the alien versus predator stuff, even if the movies aren't the best. But they did a great job here of doing exactly what I wanted. When I saw Prey, I was like, that's a good like predator movie, but it didn't expand the lore, so I didn't really care about it. This movie, Predator Badlands, expands the Predator lore exactly like I would have always loved them to do it. And it is done here so well. I am pumped. I would even say, and the director said this too, is power loader, guys. I got to say real quick, I'm a huge fan of the Aliens power loader. That was one of the things in the original Aliens that like hooked me. Also, I'm a big mecha fan. So having the Predator fight a Power Loader XL by the end of it's another notch in what Adam actually wants out of a Predator movie. And the director did say though that he had to kind of hold back a little bit because he had to make sure, and he used a very good analogy. Terminator 1 wasn't easy to watch with his mom, but he could get his mom to watch and enjoy Terminator 2. Okay, James Cameron, let's just think for a second, like Alien to Aliens. Aliens, like straight up horror. Aliens, or Alien, the first one straight up horror. Aliens has more of that action in it. And that's what Predator Badlands does. It kind of pulls back on the horror gore. It's still very gory, but action gore. And it's so much action. And there's so much Predator lore that they're talking about in this. I recommend watching Predator Badlands. I want to see it again in the theater before it's out of theaters. I want to watch it right now. This does what I want in a movie. It expands lore, tons of action. I mean, I love it. And I will add too, I have this Predator script I may have talked about, Predator Revenge. And there's elements, and I'm not saying they stole it, but there's elements that happen in this Predator Badlands movie that I have in my script because it's more of the next step for what the Predator would be doing on screen. Bam. And they nailed it in here. So I recommend Predator Badlands. It's awesome. I can't wait to watch it again. All right, guys. Well, let's jump into what I've been playing. And you know what? You're going to see some Predator because it got me. Oh, real quick. Jonas Hassan, Giga Bash DLC is coming next week, and it's going to be crashing the Switch eShop for sure. Yeah, I hope. I haven't played Giga Bash in a while. I'm curious to look that up. Jim Kellogg, I'll wait till streaming. Disney Predator doesn't sound interesting apart from sounding like a new headline for a serial criminal. That's pretty good. But Jim Kellogg, I'm telling you, it is good. Shocked. Everyone I've seen, everyone that I know that has seen it has liked it. My dad, my brothers, yeah, my kids. It's just so good. There's a couple Disney things in it, but you don't really. They pay off well. Let me just say that. I don't want to spoil that part, but okay. Let's talk about what I've been playing this weekend. So Double Dragon Revive. I've talked about it a bit last week. I've been waiting for this game forever. Finally got it. I beat it over the weekend. There's still more I could technically do, which is like maybe play on a harder difficulty. And I think that's the main thing with this game is there's not much there outside of the levels and just playing through. I will say, though, that I played multiplayer, and I thought that was fun. The issue is not a lot of people are playing. And when I was playing with someone, we got to the last boss and we died, which that happens in this game. Bosses are pretty cheap. But the guy just left the game instead of redoing it. And I was just like, well, okay. It's like I want to do the multiplayer because I think it's more fun that way, but not many people are playing. So the game has an excellent combat system. I love the combat system in this. That's what's fun about it, because you're either doing combos, there's your special that does a kind of a block stagger counter. There's your guard. When you're guarding, you can do multiple types of moves depending on what you're trying to do. Get them in the air, get them on the ground. Like, there's grabs, throw enemies into things, pick up weapons. There's so much going on here, and I love it. But outside of the first level, the stage design is just kind of, it's weird, because it's like you'll go through a level and then there'll be a section to fight enemies, and it's so fun. And then you'll go through another part and there'll be sections to fight enemies that are fun, but then it gets kind of repetitious. Not that fighting the enemies, but just the structure of the level and what you're trying to do. Yeah, go from left to right, but just recent games like Double Dragon Gaiden, the way they set up, or Rise of the Dragons, Gaiden, the way they set up each level in walking around, manipulating things, it's like they almost got it in Revive, but they didn't. The other big issue with this game is not the combat system, but the controls. The only issue I seem to have with this game, and we kind of saw it where it was live, is when you knock an enemy on the ground, you actually press the grab button to attack them on the ground. It doesn't make sense. Now, you can press guard, LB, and Y, and you can slide them into the ground. That's what I've been doing. But to really get damage, you have to press RT. The thing is, if you're moving while pressing it, you'll just do a grab and then grab nothing. And there's like a small window that you have to actually press RT to hit the enemy on the ground. And so a lot of times you're just missing. And I saw when I was playing online with someone, they were having the same issue. The other thing too is sometimes, so it's a beat 'em up, right? When we're used to beat 'em ups being side scrollers, but this is full 3D. And even though you are going left to right and you're moving up and down like a typical beat 'em up, it is more of a 3D game. And I think where then there's issues from that is when you are, for instance, going into an enemy's direction, there's not some sort of sticky logic with it. If you're off by a hair, you're going to be off, and it breaks up the flow of the combat, which if you're just fighting side by side, you can like 100 hit combos easily. But as soon as maybe there's an enemy that's kind of angled and then you want to kind of shift, you can throw off, like, it's almost like it's really hard to understand the iframe versus animation hit detection when you're at these angles. And it's something you don't necessarily feel right away. At first, you think the game just feels bad, but you realize, no, the game actually feels good. Those are just specific instances where, and I was even looking at the discussions in the Steam forums, and that's the other things. Other people were having the same issues, so I don't feel alone there, because sometimes it can be, oh, that's just my skill. But I've learned a lot. It's more feeling than skill. I mean, I might not be able to do something, and I could tell, oh, that is my skill, or I could be like, nah, that the game's kind of off. Let's see, anything else? You know what? For the price, I think for the price, it's hard to justify it. I think for a sale price, I think you can have fun with it. Because like I said, for a beat 'em up, it really does have good combat mechanics that I would want to be used again. I would want them to take what they've created here and do a newer, refined version. And maybe we'll get updates that refine. It's been interesting lately how games will get updates that refine them. Both G.I. Joe and Power Rangers beat 'em ups from last year received updates that refined and changed the gameplay. Now, I haven't played the Power Rangers game since they changed the gameplay, but it's just very interesting how this happens a lot, where a game will come out and they're like, oh, we're going to change the gameplay now that people have played it. It's like, well, did people not play it before? I don't know. Double Dragon Revive is worth playing if it's ever free somewhere, but it is worth your time is what I'm saying. Like, if you can get your hands on it, it's fun. If it's on sale, I think it not only is it a fun beat 'em up, but I think it moves beat 'em up combat forward in a modern time. So lots of flaws there, but it is an interesting and worthwhile game. Okay, Alien Rogue Incursion Evolved Edition. So this dropped for sale over the weekend on PlayStation 5 for 23. And another reason I wanted to get it on PlayStation 5, because it was also on sale on PC, is because I'm really wanting to pick and choose what games I play or what hardware or what. And let me start with, like, it's very interesting now with the Portal doing it where any game you own you can stream. With my Xbox, my ROG Ally, it's not an Xbox ROG Ally, but it's a ROG Ally. I can play and stream any game from my Xbox. So it's it's like in the Switch too. I can stream any game for there. So it's almost like, okay, what do I choose? I just decided to choose Alien Rogue Incursion Evolved Edition on PS5 because it was on sale and I can use the Portal. That's a long way to say maybe if it was on sale on the Xbox, I might have got. Here's the thing. It's that cross-buy. That's a whole other argument. Let's just stick with this Alien Rogue Incursion Evolved, okay? How is the gameplay? I'm actually shocked with how Alien Rogue Incursion Evolved Edition plays. Um, it's not like the Colonial Marines, but it's not like Isolation. I want to say, and I didn't play the VR version. I've only played it as an FPS. I will say this is probably the most realistic portrayal of a human having to fight xenomorphs in first person. Because most of the time, now it's starting to be more, you would only get like maybe 2 enemies on you at once, and they will kill you. You will die fast. It only takes a few slashes to actually die, and I like that. And how they balance that, and I think this makes sense maybe technologically in universe, there's so many rounds in a magazine that you don't really have to worry about reloading until usually after you're done killing an alien. It takes a long time to kill an alien. Not too long, but it makes sense. Like, I feel like Alien Rogue Incursion does the best job of, if you needed to run around and shoot a xenomorph and you're not like overpowered and just taking them all out, but also you're not underpowered. And I forget what was it they did in Fire Team. They made it where there was these like smaller xenomorphs that were the main ones, and they would just kind of like move around before they would come to you sometimes. I don't know. I feel like that's something that I've always looked past because that's hard to replicate, combat against a xenomorph. Alien Rogue Incursion does a good job of that. It's, and I would say it's 25% so far. 25% has been combat. The other part has just been kind of traveling, picking up a power thing, plugging it in or something, like, but it's fun enough. For $23, this is a good game to really put you into that alien universe mindset, which I was because of watching Predator Badlands this weekend, which then made me play Predator Hunting Grounds, which I do enjoy that they've made it. So apparently the online play was off this weekend, or is that because I don't have PS Plus? So that's the other thing. Okay. I got to check that out. I just realized this now. But anyway, you could play single player, which I had so much fun doing. And I didn't do this before, I guess, but I was just the Predator playing single player, chasing down the fire team, or just going around and killing AI bots along the way. I mean, the fire team's AI, but there's other like NPCs in the world. But I had so much fun, I guess, with less of the expectation and stress of being in an online match, that I could just kind of play around as the Predator. I think only once I killed the fire team. I played a few rounds throughout the weekend where I was always getting destroyed. Now, playing online's fun, don't get me wrong, but I think they did a good job adding that sort of private match component so you can play on your own and still have so much fun. Good game that I wish someone with a little more money would come in and kind of be like, let's tighten up this experience, because it's nearly there. You could just tell there's some corners they had to cut, not in making a good game, but a total package. Okay, Sonic Racing Crossroads. We played a bit of that. We're doing they have this, I forget what it's called. Next to Grand Prix, there's like this other racing thing you choose that has different game modes, but you use that to win other carts. So my wife and I have been playing. We've been unlocking other vehicles. That you fight against a rival team, and I think I think we lost last night. Maybe it's interesting because the rivals get harder and harder, and we'll try to beat them and unlock stuff. Again, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, one of the best games that come out this year. And that might have been it. I think the kids played some Mario Kart, some Minecraft. And then, yeah, we're getting back to last week. But it was a fun weekend of playing a bunch of different video games. I didn't really spend a whole lot of time with one game. It was just here and there playing games while, we go saw movies. We went out to the mall, went shopping. I got this new shirt. It was just a shirt. It was just like a dark colored shirt. There's nothing to it. I did get a Street Fighter shirt. I should have wore that. It was just a long sleeve shirt, and it said just simply Street Fighter right here. And then on the back had Ryu and Ken, some anime. I was like, okay, that's a cool shirt. And it didn't have a price on it because this was at Ross, right? And then I took it up to the cashier with other things, and she's like, $9? And I was like, yeah, that's a good price. Okay. Let's see. Let me look at chat real quick. Also, just to put it on your radar, I found an interesting demo of a Greco-Roman mythological sci-fi Metroidvania called Somber Echoes. That sounds familiar. Let me look it up real quick. Sounds familiar, but to be honest, I don't. Wow, January 21st. Wow, this looks really good. How did I miss it? There is a demo. Heck yeah. Well, thank you for putting that on my radar. Okay. This could be interesting. I guess when we said Greco-Roman, kind of like sci-fi, it's like, what? And I love that look. You don't see that often. Okay. Thanks, man. Oh, and you got that on the PS5. Okay. Okay. This game you described sounds like stick drift. You know what? Jonas, that is a really good point, and it's not stick drift, though, but you would think if you weren't sure that it was an issue with stick drift, because you'd be making those angled attacks and not grabbing the guy, not hitting, be like, what's going on? But yeah, I also like to ask, how was playing Rogue Ally? Did you beat some PS5 games on there? Yes, I've actually played back when Astrobot came out. I used Remote Play to play Astrobot on my Rogue Ally. It was funny. It was not this time exactly last year, or like maybe September, October. I forget when it was, but I was like really sick and I just couldn't sit up at whatever and play. So I was just laying back with the Rogue Ally and I was playing, and I was just super impressed with the Rogue Ally, being able to play that and GBO2, Gundam Battle Operation 2 on there. That's the thing. The whole idea of playing anywhere with anything already exists. It's just people are still in their mindset of like console wars, Okay. Couple things here. We're going to jump into news. Halo Infinite to receive final major update after 4 years. Now, remember, before Halo Infinite came out, it was a 10-year plan because they thought this was going to be a great live service game. And I think the issue is, as much as I enjoyed playing Infinite, I could feel it was lacking in that stickiness to really keep it going. There was not a lot going on when you were to play online. There's the different matches and it was fun, but it was easy to be like, well, let's do something else. Even the campaign was fun. Loved it. Even though I felt like it should have been bigger. And obviously we've heard that there's a reason these things felt this way. So that shortened their 10-year plan to 4.5, 4 years. I want Halo to do good. I hope the next one does great. Also, we're going to be getting that remake that's going to be on all platforms, probably Switch. And then the next Halo, what are they going to do with that? Are they going to make it where it's available on all platforms? Or is it just Xbox first? I don't know. I would be open for the next Halo to be open for all platforms. That might make it a bigger experience than Halo Infinite was when it came out. So we'll see. What's this? Okay, GameTink is an entirely new breed of hardware for the next generation of 8-bit games. I did not know what to think of this, but someone is making a whole new console that plays 8-bit style games. And I kind of like that. It's like unnecessary, but it's more of a fun little thing. Like, here's this exclusive console with exclusive games, but they're made with basic limitations of that time period. I think Accursed Fiend. Okay, that's this game. Anyway, I'm gonna look into this more. Not that I need to be buying like a whole new console, but I kind of like this idea, and it made me think I would love to have my own platform, but it would just be like, something you would just download, just kind of like Pico 8, where you just the software you download, and you can download anywhere, and then you can play a series of games that are only played in the Pico 8 emulator. That would be a cool thing in the future. Like, oh, here's these games, just for fun. Like, very like, not that they're only limited to that because the games themselves are limited as well. It's almost like a limited experience. All right, Nintendo launches Switch 2 compatibility information website for Switch games. Well, that's helpful. Let's see. Okay, enter a software title. Okay, how about, what is it called? Hyrule Warriors. Okay, definitive edition. Supported. Game behavior is consistent with Nintendo Switch. Okay, so it said that. Let's type in, for instance, Kirby Forgotten Land. Game behavior is consistent. So they are really not giving you a lot of information. The reason I use these two as an example is Age of Calamity, or no, Hyrule Wars, whatever the first one was called, runs real bad on the Switch. So it was just saying it's consistent. Now, Kirby and the Forgotten Land does also, but with the DLC, it looks better. And that's not being shown here. That looks weird. What's another Odyssey? Mario Odyssey. Let's see. Game behavior is consistent with no Switch. So not much there. Anyway, maybe we can look at this later. I feel like we haven't really got solid information on how this is supposed to work. I don't know. Let's see. Lifestyle brand Kith teams up with Capcom for reskinned Arcade 1-Up and Super Pocket hardware. Kind of cool, not too big of a deal, but it's interesting that I guess companies can exist and continue making these sort of things and still survive. I like, for the Arcade 1-Up, I almost feel like it's hard to say it was overpriced. The fact that you got a kit sent to your house so you could build an arcade unit for the amount I paid is pretty cool, but the quality is not near anything I remember from an arcade. Let's see. There's not much more, and that almost, hey, Steven, consistently bad. There you go. That's pretty much the gaming industry. Let's see. Jonas, Halo Infinite was an abyss. No one is playing after the Halo announcement on PS5. Yeah, I mean, I got to play it a lot. There was always people in games, at least. It wasn't one of those like Double Dragon where I would go to play and then no one was playing. But Halo Infinite always had people. It's just there was nothing really to do outside of the core game experience, which is the same thing. I think that was the issue with the Marvel Avengers game. The issue for me with Double Dragon Revive is we're seeing games that have some competent mechanical systems in place for the gameplay, the combat, and it's fun, but where you are and where you're doing it, it doesn't make it interesting. And that's something I might need to think of when I'm thinking about a game I might want to make in the future, or games I like. For instance, what's a game recently that I've played? Hey, actually, let me pull this up. I know I have to leave soon, but I kind of want to try this little exercise here. A game. Okay, Avowed is a good example of a game that it's in my top 5 game of the year this year. It's a game I didn't think I would even like because it's an RPG. It's one of those walk around, talk to people RPGs. But they had such a good combat system in place that you could just make the game how you wanted. I put third person, wide field of view, or focal, whatever you call it, so I could just see around me and just run around and do some badass melee combat. Like, because the world was just full of enemies and I could really go anywhere and find, there was so many things to do with the tool set. And so maybe that's what it is. It's like, make a game that has an awesome tool set, and then you have someone else that makes the world that is asking you, hey, how are you going to use your tool set at any moment? to make you feel powerful and badass as you're exploring. I think that's kind of, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, that's it for today. That was a lot to talk about. That was a lot of fun. My Double Dragon Revive review, Predator Badlands review. So that's about it. Guys, I got to head out, but I'll be back tomorrow with some more. Have a good rest of the day. See you later.